Welcome to the Occult Class. My name is Jewel. Tonight, we journey into the unseen architecture of thought and belief, into a realm where the imagination does more than dream, it creates. This class is about Tulpas and Egregores. Two concepts from the hidden world of occult thought, two forces that begin with the mind but don't always end there. Let's begin with the Tulpa. The term comes from ancient Tibetan Buddhist mysticism, where it was known as Sprul-pa, meaning a manifestation or emanation. A tulpa is not a ghost. It is not a spirit you summon. It is a being that is created through pure concentration and mental discipline. It starts in the mind of a skilled practitioner, one who uses visualization, meditation, and belief to give form to an idea until that idea becomes alive. In Tibetan practice, this is not a game. It is a sacred and serious art. A tulpa begins as a product of imagination, but with intense focus and intent, it becomes autonomous. That means it can begin to act independently of its creator. It thinks, it responds, it sometimes surprises the one who gave it life. In the early 20th century, a woman named Alexandra David Nael traveled through Tibet and studied these practices. She claimed to have created a tulpa herself, in the form of a cheerful monk. At first, it was innocent. The tulpa was obedient, amusing, and easy to control. But over time, it began to change. It grew moody. It appeared unexpectedly. It became, as she put it, a problem. She had to go through a ritual to dissolve it. The experience, she said, proved that mental creations can develop a kind of will of their own. In Western occult circles, this story lit a fire. The tulpa became associated with the concept of a thought form, a mental projection so powerful that it begins to influence the world around it. Some people claimed to see the tulpa of another practitioner. Others reported physical sensations in its presence. The idea was clear. Thought, focused and refined, could bridge the space between the mind and the invisible planes beyond it. A tulpa begins as a deliberate act. A single person imagines it, gives it a name, a form, a personality. It is not imaginary in the casual sense. It is a construct powered by will and repetition. And with enough energy, it becomes something the creator can interact with. Some occultists say tulpas live on the astral plane. Others say they remain within the psyche. Either way, they can grow, change, and even rebel. Now, this may sound like fantasy, but in the internet age, tulpas became more than just esoteric whispers. They became part of a movement. Online communities dedicated to tulpamancy began to emerge. People from around the world began sharing their experiences of creating and living with tulpas. Some described them as lifelong companions, others as protectors. Still others saw them as experiments in consciousness, proof that the mind could be divided, expanded, and transformed. These modern tulpas are often said to have distinct voices, thoughts, and even opinions. Practitioners claim to hold conversations with them. Some people see them in their mind's eye. Others feel them as presences beside them. Whether this is a form of deep self-hypnosis, dissociation, or something metaphysical is up for debate. But the experiences are vivid, persistent, and often life-changing. Some modern psychologists, though skeptical, have found the concept useful in therapy. The tulpa is sometimes described as a mental co-pilot, a part of the subconscious that is given form and dialogue. In such cases, the tulpa can help its host process emotions, manage anxiety, or explore memories. It's not magic in the traditional sense, but it reflects the deep mystery of how the mind constructs reality. Tulpas are created by individuals, but what happens when an entire group creates something together? This brings us to the egregore. The word egregore comes from the Greek word for watchers. In ancient texts like the Book of Enoch, the watchers were angels who came down to earth and shared forbidden knowledge. But in occult tradition, an egregore is not an angel. It is an idea come alive through collective energy. It is a psychic entity formed when a group of people pour their emotions, beliefs, and rituals into a common symbol or concept. Unlike the tulpa, which is personal, the egregore is communal. It begins when a group focuses its intention. A name is chosen, a symbol is drawn, a purpose is declared. Over time, through repeated attention, this idea takes on energy, then it takes on life. The group begins to feel its presence. It guides decisions, it inspires visions. It moves within the minds of many as if it were one being. Have you ever felt a powerful atmosphere in a protest, a religious revival, or a nationalist parade? That sensation of something greater than the sum of the people there? That is the domain of the egregore. It is not just a mood. It is a force built by collective belief. Religious deities can become egregores when enough people believe in them and feed them through ritual. Political ideologies can form egregores that sway millions. Even brands, corporations, and nations can host these entities. Think of how people speak of their country as if it were a person. They say the nation is angry, the nation wants revenge. That is not just metaphor. In occult terms, that is an egregore speaking through its believers. In World War II, both Nazi Germany and the Allied forces were considered to have birthed massive egregores. Symbols like the swastika or the American eagle became more than political imagery. They were infused with raw human emotion, fear, pride, rage, and hope. Those symbols carried weight, they were charged with meaning. And in the occult sense, they hosted a consciousness. An egregore can begin with something small. A group forms, they share a goal, they repeat affirmations, they hold ceremonies. They channel energy into a symbol, an ideal, a mission. Then one day, they feel as if the group is being led, not by any one member, but by a presence. Something they all helped create, and it grows in strength the more attention and emotion it is given. Secret societies have long known how to craft and nourish egregores. Orders like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the Freemasons, and even modern-day magical lodges often use rituals, shared symbols, and oaths to maintain a group consciousness. This entity is both guardian and guide. It holds the energy of the group, preserves its legacy, and sometimes punishes betrayal. Egregores are not always benign. Some are protective, wise, and uplifting. Others become possessive, demanding, even destructive. They can influence people to act against their own judgment. They can stir violence, obsession, or blind devotion. The occult warning is always the same. Never build what you are not prepared to control. Tulpas and egregores are cousins, but they are different in important ways. Tulpas are made by individuals. Egregores are born from groups. Tulpas usually remain within the mind or astral space of the creator. Egregores extend their influence outward, into the world of symbols, institutions, and movements. Both begin as thoughts. Both can become autonomous, but one is personal and the other is collective. In today's world, egregores are everywhere. From celebrity worship to political extremism, from viral trends to online cults of personality, we are constantly building and feeding collective entities. Some exist only for a season, others seem immortal, nations, religions, cultures. These are massive, ancient egregores with centuries of energy behind them. And as for tulpas, they too have found a home in modern minds. Some people use them for self-discovery, to access parts of themselves they had buried. Others create them for companionship, especially in an increasingly disconnected world. Whether these are inner voices, fragments of consciousness, or spiritual companions is a matter of perspective. But one thing is certain, these forces are real in their effects, real in the way they change people, real in the way they persist, grow, evolve, and sometimes dominate. So are they real? That is a question best left to your own experience. In the occult, what matters most is not belief, but engagement. Thought is not passive. Imagination is not empty. The mind is a forge. And in that forge, we shape what walks beside us, or above us, or within us. This is the Occult Class. Join us next time as we reveal another entity from the shadows. Until then, stay curious and stay protected.